There's a viral video of a black woman talking about Donald Trump. And she says he repeatedly came out and asked for their support when he did not need it. She said he won without support from the black vote. He only got around 8%. And he's still coming out and saying, what do you got to lose? Helping out, talking about low unemployment numbers. And she goes, he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need our support. Sure enough, he is. And she said she liked it. And I thought that's actually a really good point. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend like Trump isn't concerned about re-election and looking at paths towards victory. But it is a good point. He didn't get elected by the black vote, but he's dedicated a lot of time and energy to the black community, which I find very interesting, especially as we see the rise of many prominent black conservatives, particularly those running for Congress. I think Donald Trump is sincere. He's actually ended up losing support among white liberals and, white urban individuals for everything he's done. But he's doing particularly well among Hispanics and the black vote. Right now, Washington Examiner says black voters pushing Trump to victory with support for Biden 15 points down. I don't know, what do we have? 5 polls now showing Trump support in the with black voters is like 30% or somewhere around there. If Trump really does pull in those numbers, it's a guaranteed win. That's what the pundit class says. All the news outlets and the pollsters say. If 20% or more of the black vote goes to Trump, it's a landslide. Done. End of story. Now, of course, he could lose a lot of voters somewhere else, I suppose. I don't see that being the case. I think Trump is uniting a lot of people. And this younger generation of conservative, they are more diverse. I think Trump's going to win because of it. Check it out. President Trump's support from likely black voters is nearly twice what campaign officials believe is needed to win re-election, and 15 points under the level Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden needs, according to a new survey. The latest, John Zogby Strategies EMI Research Solutions poll, which was taken after last week's Republican National Convention that featured several minority speakers, put Trump's support from black voters at 20%. For Biden, it's at 75. For Trump, that is 12 points more than he received in 2016 and 9 points more than campaign officials believe he needs to keep the White House. One senior official recently told Secrets, if it's at 11%, then we win. The polling analysis suggested that the rioting in cities and Trump's law and order stance could be driving more black voters into his camp and robbing Biden of votes from the Democratic Party's most loyal base. The analysis said Biden should be pleased with the support among Democrats, women, and Hispanics, but a lead of 75-20 among black voters can spell real trouble. A Democrat needs 90% plus and a high turnout among blacks. Could it be that Trump's law and order message is hitting home among black voters who are worried about demonstrations getting out of control? Biden holds 52% to 35% among 18 to 29-year-olds, but Barack Obama won with 66% in 08 and 61% in 2012 among this young cohort. Paris Denard, the campaign's senior communication advisor for Black Media Affairs, told Secrets, quote, "It is not surprising to see numerous polls showing President Trump's approval with black voters increasing. After watching both political conventions make their best case, black Americans are giving President Trump a second look, and many a first look, because they are learning more about his record of achievement and Joe Biden's old and new policies that work against the black community, coupled with Biden's consistently offensive, bigoted comments." Several other recent polls have found steady support for Trump from black voters. The poll also found Biden leading Trump, but the lead shrank after the Republican convention. In a two-way race, Biden leads Trump 48-42. In a four-way race that includes 2 independents who are pulling votes away from Biden, the Democrat leads 45% to 42%. I've been thinking a lot about this, right? We had Billy Prempe on the IRL podcast just a week or so ago, and he is a black conservative Trump supporter running in North Jersey. Seems like a cool dude, regular guy, really smart. It was an amazing podcast. I think it may have been one of our best shows. And he's like a regular guy who's hip and fairly socially liberal, but still conservative in a lot of ways. And it says to me that, when Donald Trump campaigned and he started saying things like, what have you got to lose? I think a lot of people were listening. I have to imagine there's a lot of people who, live in Chicago, who live in Baltimore and these other cities who started thinking, with the Democrats' policy positions dominating this city for this long and nothing's improved and it seems stagnant. maybe we do have nothing to lose. Like, how much worse could you get for Chicago or Baltimore? I mean, it could probably get worse, but it's pretty bad. I think a lot of people just said, yeah, whatever. I'll roll the die, right? Why not? But then others started looking into it more and more and more. And you know, it was really, I was thinking about this recently. It's a tough subject. But I was thinking about Kanye West. I've talked about how he is a very, very influential and prominent voice, especially for young black individuals in this country. Not that I think he's the most influential or the most important for a lot of people, but there's people who look up to him of all races. And I was thinking about, he came out for Trump and he got smeared and destroyed in the press. First, I thought, why did he come out in support of conservatism, of Donald Trump, Republican Party? And I remember it. He said he liked what Candace Owens was saying. And then I thought about Candace Owens. She's also a black conservative and she endures hate and smears and she gets called a white supremacist all the time. And I thought about what started all of this? Well, I think for one, you needed individuals to rise up and push back. And you had that with people like Candace Owens. And now you have many more black conservatives. But I remember something really, really profound with Kanye West when he had this campaign rally and he talked about being pro-life. And he was brought to tears talking about abortion and the black community and how it negatively impacts, him and his community. And boy, did they smear him. I heard once, and I believe this is true, that the Democrats say, or politicos say, the key to the black vote is through the church. And it was always confusing to me because conservatives have always been much more the Christian party or the religious party, to say the least. Now they are seeing a lot more, atheists and secular voters coming in because of social justice issues and I mean specifically like the far left insanity. But I always thought about this. Wouldn't it make more sense if black voters tend to be slightly more conservative and religious to vote for the Republicans? Why is that? And I started thinking about things that Kanye West was talking about. He said that he was told, you're a Democrat, that's the way it has to be, or else. That basically they would destroy his career if he ever came out and talked about what he really believed. Well, now Kanye West has got FU money. He's basically untouchable. Not completely. They'll still smear him and try to destroy him. But dude's a billionaire, I'm pretty sure. And so now he's breaking the mold. I was thinking about that speech he gave when he talked about abortion and being pro-life and how he was brought to tears. And I'm like, the media called him unhinged. They said he was having an episode, he needed medication. And I'm like, nah, that's not what it is. You know what it is? I see this as a guy who his whole life knew what was right to him, knew what he stood for, and knew what it meant to be Christian, to go to church. But he was told by everyone, don't you dare cross us or we'll destroy you. Think about living a life where you can't tell people how you really feel. And then finally, I don't know how old Kanye West is, but finally after decades, he gets the courage to finally stand up and speak up, and he just says what he believes. And of course, he knows he's going to be destroyed for it. I can only imagine after decades of having your beliefs and your views repressed. And I'm talking about something, that people like Kanye view as a supreme evil. This is a guy who's pro-life, who talks about the amount of abortions that affect the black community. And he's been told, shut up or else. Like real threats, real fear. You will be canceled. Your life will be destroyed. Everything will be taken from you. And now he stands up and he says, he was wearing a bulletproof vest, wasn't he? Something like that. Yeah, because he really is scared, because he's been told his whole life what it means if you speak up and talk about what you really believe. But the church, they believe these things. These are what they hold true to themselves. Kanye smashed through that glass and you could see the emotion that came along with it. He's not the only one. That's why I think a lot of people in the black community are coming out for Trump. At least the polls are showing it. It may not be true. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily believe the polls as it is, but I've long thought this. I can't begin to tell you, what it must be like to grow up in the black community. I have no idea. My speculation, my opinion is just based on watching from the outside, of course. I did grow up on the south side of Chicago, so I have certain opinions about growing up in places like that, but I'm not black, right? So I defer to Candace, to Kanye, and those individuals, Billy Prempe, Kimberly Klacik. But it really does seem like people are fed up and they're finding a path to speak out. And they're finding that Trump, and he does speak to them. I mean, look, Trump is moderate. He really is. Vox.com said it. But he's also Republican and he holds many of those values. And so this seems like a good play, like a good choice for many in the black community. And now they're standing up and saying it. Check this out. The betting odds for Trump began to flip. I mentioned the pro-life stuff with Kanye just because I thought it was interesting, but I'll end with one last point. We've seen it from Gallup. This caricature of what the black community is doing or what they want is a racist depiction from the Democrats, and it's not fair. I'm reminded of that Ami Horowitz video where he goes to Berkeley and he asks young white people if voter ID is racist. And they say a whole bunch of crazy racist things about, like, black people not being able to get internet or knowing where the DMV is. And then he goes to a black neighborhood, and my favorite line from this whole bit he did was when he asks a guy, do you know where the DMV is? The guy goes, yeah, it's over on 25th Street. As if he was giving directions. Of course the dude knew where the DMV was. It's because these Democrats and these young progressives are overtly racist. And that's what the party has attracted by pushing these narratives. Now, Joe Biden still has, 70 to 75% of support, depending on which poll you're looking at. So it's not like Trump is winning over every single member of the black community. But a lot of people are, listening, and they're speaking up, and they like what he's got to say. If these polls are correct, Trump already won, and Joe Biden can't do anything about it. Perhaps the reason the polls are wrong is because these pollsters are ignoring Trump's true base. Black voters who never voted before and non-college educated whites the pollsters can't reach. We'll see how it plays out, assuming there's no foul play. I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.